Oh, the world sure feels noisy and a little unmoored. Same power structures and playbooks, different decade, but same outcomes. What? We need to change the game. But Women Advancing isn't about fixing women. We're busy reorienting leadership for the world we're living in and the one ahead. I'm your host, Kate Byrne. Each week, I talk with the women shaping what's next. Join us as we reset the compass on Women Advancing. Hey, everyone. It's your host, Kate Byrne with Women Advancing. Decisiveness, control, certainty. Wah, wah, wah. Very linear. These words are long been associated with leadership. But you know what? Just like sailing, leadership rarely gets tested when things are simple. But it does when stakes are high, dynamics are messy, and that lovely human element refuses to be managed away. My conversation today is about a different kind of strength, one that is so often misunderstood, especially for women, and that's generosity. Not as in overgiving or self-sacrifice, no, sorry, but as a deliberate, discerning leadership practice, one that shapes how we navigate power, conflict, and uncertainty without losing ourselves in the process. My guest is Robyn J. Malone, the founder of RJ Communications, who has worked across cultures, systems, geographies, and leadership environments. She brings such a deeply nuanced perspective to what it means to lead with both clarity and care, and I'm going to add empathy. We talk about what generosity actually looks like when the stakes are high, why it's so often mistaken for softness, and where Western leadership models fall so short, and how we women, we can hold both authority and warmth without apology. And maybe most importantly, it's about a quiet, powerful reframe. You're not losing your edge, you're refining. So be sure to stay to the end. There's some terrific KB takeaways. And let me know what you think. And I'll see you on the next Women Advancing. Women Advancing listeners, please join me in welcoming a true powerhouse, Robyn Jackson Malone, who's the founder of RJ Communications. We're going to talk about women, power, generosity, all sorts of things, and rethinking leadership in this crazy ass, yes, I said it, complex world. Robyn, welcome to Women Advancing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So Robyn is joining us from the lovely Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Lucky lady. So Robyn, before we dive into some really great questions and deep conversation around, meeting your notion of meeting with generosity, would you share with folks sort of how did you get to where you are right now?
Yeah. So I have been a communicator in communications and PR for my entire career. So we're talking 30 years.
Yeah.
And about 6 years ago now, I got laid off, like so many did during pandemic. And I started consulting. And honestly, clients followed me and an agency grew around me. It was not even an intention on my part. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It wasn't intentional. It just, it just happened. And so, and that was 6 years ago. And here we are.
Which is tremendous. And now I'm not going to say living, I'm going to say thriving, which is terrific. Well, and I can only imagine why, because I know you take so to heart the whole notion of meeting with generosity. So talk a little bit about what that phrase means. And then I'd love you to also shed a light on, like a leadership context.
Leading with generosity for me is really about, this is going to sound so trite, but it's really looking at the person as a whole person. It's not just a person that stands in front of me or on the computer screen doing work or, responding to emails. This person has their whole self exists outside of the sliver of their lives that I interact with. And so the generosity piece comes in with, it's the whole person first. And what I've found is when you do lead with the generosity of understanding that there's a whole person, then the work kind of comes with it, right? So there's great work that follows. There's trust, there's growth, there's curiosity, there's there's a rapport and sometimes an intimacy that develops that really, helps relationships and it helps the work. And so I we're a small agency, so the work is critically important. At the same time, once they clock out, if you will, then there's stuff that they still need to be living through and working through and dealing with and enjoying. And so I pay attention, a lot of attention to that.
Right. So the interpersonal, I love that understanding that there it is intimate and it is an intimate relationship, especially when you're talking
Yeah.
about communications because you're helping
Mhm.
someone, especially in leadership spots. I think sometimes it's harder, older school, to
Yeah.
really to allow yourself to be so vulnerable.
Yeah.
So what is it? So what does generosity look like in high stakes context, and what does it not look like?
High stakes context. High stakes context is when I'm trying to think of an example. We are running up against a deadline, or there's a particularly prickly client who's, sniping, and someone has something tragic and happen in their
Ah,
family.
yep.
And that recently happened.
Oof.
And so it's like, don't, that client's fine. We'll figure it out,
Right. We'll
right?
work with them. Yeah,
That,
we'll get there.
yeah, like I don't even think about us or work. Yes, I know that you are responsible for this and you are leading this and the client is sniping and being prickly and deadlines and whatever, but
This too
absolutely,
shall pass.
absolutely, I don't even want you to think about it. I would be angry with you almost if you thought about that versus taking care of yourself right now.
So to me too, that sounds like that's kind of a great example for how generosity actually shows up as a strength
Yeah, I
rather than
think
a
so.
softness. Because as a woman, and I'm thinking other women who are like navigating complex power dynamics, right? Because the old models, they all reward decisiveness, control, and certainty. And you can have both and.
You can't. I just, I gotta be honest. The old
Yeah.
models really they really stick in my craw, especially
Yeah.
now. They really do. It's similar to, I have many, many friends who, many of them are marketers or PR people who are now being forced back into the office.
Hmm.
Why? Why? What is
Especially when we have data that
it?
shows. Oh,
It's so nonsensical to me. And then and these are senior SVP, EVP level people. Their badge swipes are being counted and logged and what? And
yeah.
then I'm seeing again people with 25 and 30 and 35 years of experience who are trusted, but every now and again they got to wiggle their mouse to make sure that someone knows that they're on. Like, what is this?
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. I know of a couple of companies, especially in media, actually,
Yeah,
that where they do retina scans and and then exactly there's cameras, there's the same kind of thing. They're
it
measuring how
is.
often.
I find it beyond ridiculous. My team, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I need you to be responsive and I need you to get the work done.
Well, so that last
Beyond
piece
that,
is
I don't
key.
care.
It's a very sounds trite too. The proof is in the pudding, but it actually really is. Especially again in a relationship and a dynamic like this, it's going to be evident in the outcome. And if it
And the
doesn't work,
outcome,
there's no catching you. Same thing
right?
in sales. It's
Yeah,
always it's obvious if you've done the calls or you haven't done the calls
yeah,
because it's a numbers thing.
right. And I think I think it's really, I think it's silly, and I think folks are doing themselves a real disservice because they're creating a culture of robots
Mm,
that don't feel as motivated to do the more that they're looking for. Instead, they want to be Big Brother.
yeah.
And it's like, I think everyone's an adult. Like, we don't need to operate this way. I think it's silly. I have team members, like one of my team members, my chief of staff, she is from Jamaica. She
Mm,
spends at least 4 or 5 months in Jamaica every year. Great. Take me with you next time.
yep. Yep.
There's another my digital strategist. he's a dad of two like busy teens. So he's, pillar to post with, games and whatever. Great.
Right.
He also they raise chickens, and so they have competitions and stuff like that. He's like, oh no, we got to show the chickens and.
Ah,
So I'm like, lovely. I want to see pictures. You know what I mean? Like it just I think when we discount the whole person, I think we just and the bad swipes and the retina scans and the all of those things absolutely discount the whole person. They
well,
are only focused on the sliver of the person that they can exploit.
right. Well, and in this day and age of where, people are worried about being replaced by AI, kind of pretty much the more you fall into that sort of practice,
Yeah.
the easier you're going to be seen, I believe,
As a
actually,
widget.
as
As a widget.
redundant. Exactly.
As a widget. And to me, I've always said, I am not afraid of being replaced by AI.
Yeah, nor am I.
I'm not afraid of that. I think I'm more likely to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI better than me.
Yes, right. I hear you on that. Exactly. That
So
is more like,
I think that's the it's not a danger, but that's what people should be focusing on. Don't worry about AI because AI is here, it's not going anywhere, and
right.
it's going to do what it's going to do. So what are you going to do with it?
Well, exactly. And we see that, we know that. And that actually is something that you do have some control over, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you can do classes, you can do all
You have
sorts
all
of
the
things.
control over that. You have all the control over how you use AI, how you incorporate it, how you up level the work that you're doing for your clients. Like you have all of the control over that. So the idea that AI is going to replace you, I think is I think it's misplaced.
Yeah. I want to come back to the AI conversation in a sec, but you just were talking about some, working. I know you've worked across cultures and geographies.
Yes.
So I'm curious, how has that shaped your understanding of leadership styles? And where do you think, Western leadership is falling short?
I think what's interesting. Um, I as I just did, I wax on about it. Silly, this march back to work and back in office. I think it's silly. I think the clocking in and all of that big brother stuff is silly. But let me tell you where I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I had a team member who she, there would be a new project or a new client, and she's junior and learning. So I kind of, I was intentional about bringing her on because I saw something in her and she wanted to learn. I was happy to kind of take that on as an agency, et cetera. And I would say, there are a couple of projects I'd love for you to tackle. And she would say, okay, can you send me an email with all of the detail and la 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 la. And I'm like, the Gen Z in me, not Gen Z, excuse me, the Gen X in me. Yeah, you can laugh at the Gen Z. I got my letters wrong.
No, 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 any of it. I
Yeah,
love where this is going.
the
Yes.
Gen X in me was like, excuse me, ma'am, like, do the work, right?
Right. It's,
So I
it.
was I was kind of like I couldn't imagine a world when I was that age where I would say, okay, well, send me the details and I'll let you know what I want to work on. I couldn't imagine a world. But at the same time, I so admired it.
Yes, because
I so admired how she said, no, not everything. Not everything. Now, for any number of reasons, that works and it doesn't work, and you have to kind of know where you are and who you work with. And I think she had a sense that I would always,
yes.
right? But I really was, my pearls were clutched. I was like, oh, what do you mean? I'll let you know. Kind of
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
right,
Yeah. So,
right.
this is funny, Robin, because this leads beautifully, nice segue, my friend, into my next question. Because, to your point, we're supposed to be warm, but then also the goal is eventually to be authoritative. So, how do you think about boundaries
Mm,
and self trust and discernment when you're leading with generosity? I mean, I say power to her on the one hand,
yeah,
but how
yeah,
does that, what do you think about that?
yeah. So, um, I did have to draw a line.
Yeah,
It's not hard, but it's not easy, if that makes sense,
that
right?
does.
Um, it's not a difficult thing to do, but it's like, ugh, now I have to have, I've got to, and then I feel like, am I betraying my values? Am I stepping outside of how I'm like, do whatever you want to do, get the work done, be responsive, and that's all I care about. Like, make sure things are on time, clients are happy. That's it. That's all I care about. But then I'm setting some hard lines. So
Right.
I did have a moment or two where I was like, am I betraying? Like, is this in line with who I am
Who
and
you are and
who
what
I
you
am
value,
and
your
what
own
I have,
boundaries.
my own boundaries and who I want and what I want this company to be?
Right.
And when I sat with that, I realized it is because I still do have to do the work and, do whatever you want, with these guardrails. Guardrails are just that.
Yeah.
They're guardrails. And I'm trusting you with those guardrails. And if those guardrails don't work for you, then you might not work with us.
Right.
And so I did have to draw a line with one or two folks where I said, I don't know that this is going to work because now that person drew boundaries. They had their own boundaries. Fair enough. And I respect those. And to the extent that I can work with them or around them and I value you as a contributor and as a team member, absolutely. But when it gets to a point where they are bumping up against our needs and what's most important, then I can't, unfortunately. And for a while, I kind of, shape shifted because I wanted to be flexible and be respectful of, people's boundaries. And that was fine until it wasn't. And so I had to draw those lines.
That's a really interesting point that I think is so important for anyone who is particularly in a service oriented
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
company and a leader is yes, to a point. I mean, it has to be
That's
mutual
right.
respect,
Yes.
frankly.
Yes, mutual
And
respect and understanding that at the end of the day, you are a whole person that I see first. I see the whole person first, but I also am running a business,
right. Well,
and that's the
and
bottom line.
I also think it frankly demonstrates extraordinary confidence on your part, where it's like, hey, look, it's just as much a selection process. I think both sides are selecting. Is it
Yeah,
going to work? Is it not? So make sure if you're leading, especially a group of people,
yeah,
you kind of don't want to fox into the, chicken hen.
yeah. And you do want to, I still have to lead. I don't want to,
Yes.
like, and I always say this is, and I'm sure many people feel this way. I'm not a micromanager until I am.
Yeah, I got you on that.
And
You are, I trust you until you
right.
give me reason not to.
Right. I'm not a micromanager. In fact, I'd rather not think about it. Like, please just go do it.
I'm
Right.
with you.
And
Yes.
then when I have to jump in and micromanage, then we're not in a good place.
Right.
So I don't ever want to do that. I fully trust. I don't, the way my ADHD brain works, I can't take on one more thing. I can't take on one more thing. So please just do it, get it done. And I trust that that will happen.
And really, when you're building a company and you're hiring employees, that's what you're doing is delegating this portion of the
I
business.
have to. I have to.
And
There's no way I can do it all.
well, and people are so lucky to have a boss like you, who then is going to be, frankly, more hands off the wheel than most, which is terrific. So I want to take a look at because it is such kind of a transitional time for women who are leading in these sort of uncertain, I don't know, I guess I'll say seasons, times of life, career transitions, organizational change, global instability. To you, what inner capacities matter most right now? I mean, possibly generosity, curiosity, and
Empathy.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I am almost too empathetic. That's what my therapist says. Um, but I lead with generosity and empathy, almost to a fault, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah, I get that.
right, I want to give people place and space to be their whole selves and like recognizing the whole person, the whole human.
You also are running a business.
I'm also running a business. And so made some mistakes early on because I was doing more of one and not enough of the other, right?
Yep,
Fair.
yep.
But I recently learned, I want to say over the past 3 or 4 years, that like not everyone actually has empathy.
As odd as that is, I seem to be finding more and more of those people.
I,
And
it,
I'm wondering, is it self-protection? Is it
yeah,
checking
I,
out? Is it burnout? Is it
I think
detachment?
I think you're on to something. I think it is
Yeah.
a manner of self-protection. I think it's probably burnout. Like I can't take on
Anymore.
I can't take on your stuff too, kind of, which is fair,
Mhm.
which is fair. But then I found that the way it shows up is just, it's like, it's cold, it's harsh, it's dark.
It's a door. It's
It's
a
a door,
throat.
it's concrete, it's a concrete slab. I don't ever want to be that.
No, I
Never.
don't know that you, especially you, could be.
Yeah, I don't ever want to be that. I can't be this raw nerve that's crying over, TikToks every morning. I can't do that. But but just understanding again, it goes back to this whole person, this whole human that has this. So they're showing up this way because of this. And
Yeah.
trying to, while that may not work for me, but having some empathy around the why of it,
Hmm.
um, I think is also something that I've had to learn to manage it for myself, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Better
I'm
now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So are there like three steps that women could take or just assure that when they're starting to feel that creeping sense of am I burning out or am I, as we started the conversation, betraying
Mhm.
myself,
Yeah.
that they can take so that they can course correct? Because course correction often we've all done it, right? Where we all of a sudden go, wait, whoa, 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 and we grab back hold of the wheel. And then a lot of times people get miffed
Yeah.
because they like the old you giving them everything that they want
Yeah.
to do, right?
And that's a them problem.
That's a true that's a great t-shirt.
Yeah, that's a them problem. They listen, we are all allowed to course correct, to evolve, to pivot, to make different decisions. I had a boss years and years and years and years ago. My first job out of college, no, second job out of college, I was what, 22, something like that. She said to me one time, I was fretting over, I think I was going to was deciding whether I was going to take a new job or whatever.
Yeah.
And she said to me, if you make a decision and it's the wrong one, make a different decision.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I
Change.
never, ever, ever forgot that
Hmm.
because I was just fretting and hand wringing over, this side or that side or whatever. And so I think we are allowed and expected to. We are allowed and expected to and should be evolving and learning and applying those things that we are kind of picking up off the road along the journey, right?
Right. Right.
If that doesn't work for someone else, that's 100% of them problem.
But I couldn't agree more. And I think, it's an interesting, and I think this is true of women, men to a degree, but women get it more often, right? Because a lot of times we will have to make a quick decision. And then when we sit with it, to your point, you recognize, oh, wait a sec. And you want to go back and change it. And people say, oh my gosh, they label you as indecisive.
I hate that.
I hate that too. It's not
It
fair.
sends me right over the edge, and it isn't fair. It
Right.
isn't fair.
No,
I'm
it's not.
allowed to have a second thought and say, you know what, actually, let's do it this way instead.
Well, and how
That's
many
the
times?
and that's the sign of leadership. That's a sign.
I agree.
Not
That's a
the
great
not
point.
the, doubling down when or your instinct or you decided something different, but you are too afraid to look whatever way you think you're going to look or to be perceived whatever way you think you're going to be perceived. I think it is the kind of leadership that everyone should display and you say, you know what, I didn't do that right. You know what, I thought about it differently.
And what comes to me when you're saying this, and this is the truth, right? Leadership is not always popular.
It's hardly ever popular, to be
And
honest.
that's why it's so lonely. But it really is a lot of times.
It's never popular because it requires all the things. It's not popular, frankly, it's not necessarily popular within me. because
Yeah,
it
of course.
requires all of these things and sharpening all of these tools and trial by fire every single day. It requires all of those things and having to work through all of my stuff and being in tune to my whole person, right? Because in order to be an effective leader, in order to be a respected leader, I have to take care of my whole person.
Right. And the truth is, you have to care, period, the end, about what the bigger it is. Because
Hmm.
if you don't,
Hmm.
it's over before it started. Because that's the quickest way where I think people then, leaders often can get resentful or they just, get sick, burned out, whatever. Throw your hands up in the air. I don't care,
Yeah.
I think is what ends up happening. Listen, I want to circle back for a second because I'm kind of curious. How is AI, after we get into this deep piece, but I want to talk to you about how is AI or do you see AI impacting communications? Broad question, pretty basic one. So sorry that
Yeah.
it's not the most sexy,
No,
but
that's fine.
I'd
It,
love
it
to get your take on it.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think I, I don't want to be reductive about AI overall and its impact on our lives. But the way that I'm thinking about it and the way that we think about it and that we approach it is that it's a tool.
Yeah, right.
It's a tool like all of the others. We didn't have computers at home until we did. We didn't have cell phones until we did. We didn't have email until we did. So I just think like, yes, this is, many would say a quantum leap, and I accept that. I still think it's a tool. So for me, it's about keeping it in perspective
Yeah,
because
there you go.
there's there's nothing um we do use AI as a tool in
Hmm.
the same way that we use PowerPoint as a storytelling tool, right?
Yeah,
So it's a tool for many, many things, and we use it. The thing about it is that like your most valued employee, it needs a lot of training.
right. It needs to get to know you
It needs
and
to
your
get to know you.
culture.
That takes time in the culture, and that takes time, which is fine. And that's something that you have to be intentional about,
Like any relationship,
like any
but
relationship.
this one even more so.
Yeah, again, I don't want to understate or undersell
Yeah,
the role of AI. I just, the way that we use it is it's a tool
yeah.
that helps us do the work that we're already doing.
And I think it also, used properly, can help bring out the human factor of your company culture, which is always going to be your differentiator. So
Right.
it helps you be more of you.
That's right. And I don't, and I, I was a little, not resistant is not the right word. I was a little bit like meh,
Yeah, right, right, right.
about using AI specifically in the work context. Resistant isn't the right word, but I was a little bit like whatever. And I don't feel that way anymore. But again, I've just learned to put it in a proper context.
Yep.
Whatever AI delivers for me, it still needs me.
Exactly.
It's not a baked cake.
No, it's your prompts and your queries.
Right, but even with that,
Yeah,
even once I've trained it, to the best that it could possibly be, which
right.
doesn't exist, but you understand,
Yes.
it still needs me.
Yeah, true.
Whatever the output is, it still needs me. And so this is why I say I'm not concerned about AI replacing me. I'm not concerned. I would be concerned. I'm not about someone who knows how to use AI better and knows more about it replacing me. And that's what I want. That's what I always say.
Yeah,
AI itself, they're never going to, use Claude over an agency. They're never going to do that. It's not realistic.
right. No, totally agree. Okay. So as we start winding down,
Mhm.
knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, shut up more and talk more.
To unpack that one a wee bit.
I think I was always a talker,
Hmm.
which makes sense that I'm in communications now. I was always a talker. And I was one of those who was reading at 2. I was one of those, right?
Hmm.
I was always a talker. So talking has never been an issue for me. I think I didn't learn how to channel that in the right way until I got much older, until I fell on my face. And
Yeah,
so part of the talking more is the shutting up more, if that makes sense.
I totally get it.
And that it took me years to really understand this. Not to state the obvious, but I'm a Black woman,
Mhm.
and it is very different for me than it is for you, Kate. It's very different for me.
Yes, sadly, I
Yeah,
know this to be true.
yes, very different for me. And so I didn't have a sense of that until I did. And so that's the talking more and shutting up more. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So,
Yes, no, I do.
mhm. And so learning that well into my, I want to say late 20s, early 30s, and into my 30s, I'm 50 now, was, you know, an eye opener. So that's what I would say. I say the other thing I would say is to, and it sounds crazy even saying it now, take up all the space.
Yeah. Hmm.
Take up all the space. And I say this to every woman, take up all the space. Every bit of space in that room, take it all up. Particularly for Black and brown women, take up all the space.
No, I couldn't agree more. And for all the women that look like me,
Yep.
share the frickin' space.
Share the, shut up more.
Shut up more,
Shut
pass
up
the
more.
baton, let someone else have the mic.
Yes, 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 yes. Make
Add
room.
chairs, build bigger, heck, build different tables altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I didn't do that I didn't know. I didn't know anything. I didn't know. There was no one who was telling me
Yeah,
how to or when to or why to. And I had to like stumble and fumble and fall flat on my face to learn that. So now I'm my own boss. So these are not real, conversations I have to deal with, but I did. I
mm,
did. It's just one of those things that I think back now and it's like, I wish I had known that then. Take
yeah,
up all the space because you
yep,
earn that space. You deserve that space.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And by you doing that, you make more space for others.
Women sometimes get this. Women leaders often get this. Black and brown women leaders definitely get it. You're intimidating.
Let me get one. Yes, agreed.
Am I intimidating or are you intimidated?
Yeah, and again, that's a them problem.
That's a you problem.
That's what I mean. Exactly. It's a
Seriously.
you who are the intimidated.
And I remember the first time I got that feedback, and I was like, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? How do I do it? I can't be less black. I don't know how to, I don't know, I don't
I am who I am, people. Hello.
know how to do it different. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was so shocked.
Yeah.
But then it took years before I was like, whatever, you'll be all right. You'll be just
Yeah.
fine. You will be
Yeah.
just fine. If I intimidate you, then I think you should look within.
It's absolutely. What is that saying, people? One
Oh,
finger at me, three right back at you,
right,
baby.
right back at you. That's right. You should look within because there's nothing I'm doing or saying that should intimidate you.
Right.
It does,
Exactly.
and I'm not exactly sure how to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Help me help you. So
exactly.
go get the help
Exactly.
you need. Thanks.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God. Robyn, I could talk for hours with you. Thank you so much. I'm going to say for your
Of course.
generosity
Oh,
of
of course.
spirit and wisdom and vulnerability. And I'm going to say, talk about a truth teller.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
my blessing and my curse.
It's a great one because we need more of it. We just do. And it's going to come out in the end anyway, everybody. So
So
why
like, why
not
are
you
we
be the
like, let's
one to
just get
say
right
it?
to it. Like, let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
life
Yeah,
is relatively short in the scheme of things.
it is.
The
It
more we
is.
get that kind of crap out of the way, the more fun we
Let's just
have
get
for the
to it.
rest and the truly
100%.
important stuff.
100%.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining Women Advancing. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing the conversation in the months to come.
Yes, please. I love it.
All right. Thanks so much. Until next time. Oof. Didn't I tell you she would be great? I just love her spirit. And it doesn't come as a surprise, right? Because of course she would focus on generosity because she is so generosity. And I think what we came to learn during the conversation is, generosity and leadership isn't about being nice. It's about being expansive and enough to hold both complexity without diminishing it. And Robyn reminds us so often that generosity, when grounded in self-trust and that alignment and discernment, it actually becomes a form of power. Not the kind that dominates the room, not at all, but the kind that changes what's possible inside it. And maybe that's the real invitation, right? So what if this next evolution of leadership doesn't ask us to become harder and asks us to become more ourselves, more precise, more open, but also still having boundaries? Because in a world that so often defaults to force, that might be the most strategic move we have. So for my KB takeaways, I say, 1, clearly generosity is not a weakness. It's a strategic leadership practice, and it's rooted in, alignment, clarity, and the D word, discernment. Effective leadership in complex environments and those stress phases, it requires both boundaries and openness, empathy, in addition to the clarity and compassion. Women in leadership don't need to choose between warmth and authority. They can redefine the model altogether. Western leadership, hello, wake up. Our norms so often have overvalued control and undervalued the relational intelligence. We're seeing a lot of that and cultural nuance. So get on board and start being open and listening to people. Leading with generosity does not mean overgiving. It means responding with intention, not reactivity. And in times of, uncertainty and transition, self-trust and inner stability are critical. So I would also say I loved her lesson to herself, which is shut up and talk more, meaning know when you should have something that's additive versus extractive. And with that, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to our paths crossing when we get together on the next Women Advancing.
Thanks for listening. May this episode inspire you to move forward. Be sure to go to iTunes, Spotify, katebyrne.co, that's KATEBYRNE.co, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and listen to even more episodes. Here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. And be sure to meet them on the next Women Advancing. Till next time.